In this video, we're going to look at how the United States began celebrating Independence Day, or the 4th of July. Make sure to watch until the end because I'll be sharing some interesting facts about the holiday and how it was first celebrated. And of course, if you want to learn more about the birth of the United States and the American Revolution, make sure to check out my other videos. But without further ado, let's get started. As I'm sure you know, Independence Day, or the 4th of July, is a federal holiday in the United States, which commemorates the ratification of the Declaration of Independence by the Second Continental Congress on July 4, 1776, establishing the United States of America. The founding father delegates of the Second Continental Congress declared that the 13 colonies were no longer subject. The passage of the Lee Resolution on July 2nd was in fact the legal separation of the colonies from Great Britain. However, since the Declaration of Independence is what explained why the colonies were separating from Great Britain, it is generally accepted as the document that officially declared independence. And because of this, the date July 4th, 1776 is celebrated as Independence Day. Independence Day is commonly associated with fireworks, parades, barbecues, carnivals, fairs, picnics, concerts, baseball games, family reunions, political speeches, and ceremonies, in addition to various other public and private events celebrating the history, government, and traditions of the United States. And so while the formal act of separating from Great Britain technically took place on July 2nd, all Americans celebrate on July 4th. And as far as how the first Americans celebrated the holiday, well, John Adams, who would become the second president of the United States, predicted that the 4th of July would become the great anniversary festival of America. And in some ways, he was right. Here's how early Americans observed the holiday. In 1776, news of independence reached Bristol, Rhode Island, and on July 4, 1776, the townspeople decided to celebrate. They fired 13 gunshots to commemorate the 13 colonies. At the time, the city was under martial law, but permission was given for the shots to be fired. Each of the 13 shots was fired an hour apart, starting at noon. 6 shots were fired from Fort Adams and 7 from a fort on Prudence Island in Narragansett Bay. There was even a written account of the event published in the Newport Mercury newspaper. The first written record of a formal 4th of July celebration is from July 18, 1777, where people gathered for festivities in Philadelphia. The list of festivities included ringing of bells, a military parade, a speech by John Witherspoon, president of the College of New Jersey, now Princeton University, and fireworks at dusk. According to an eyewitness, the evening was beautifully ornamented with a variety of handsome and expensive fireworks. Another observer said the crowd in Philadelphia that night was so dense it was with difficulty that a man could move. A few weeks later, on August 1st, 1777, the Continental Congress passed a resolution that officially established July as a day of celebration. It read, "Resolved that the 4th day of July in each year be commemorated as a day of public thanksgiving and rejoicing, and that the citizens of America be recommended to celebrate and keep that day with shoes games, sports guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other from this time forward forever." While the earliest celebrations were modest, they soon evolved into grand affairs that continued throughout the entire day and night. Historian Carl Dietz writes that these celebrations often took on a festive atmosphere, replete with fireworks, parades, patriotic songs, and political speeches. Parades, in particular, became a common way of celebrating. And in 1781, the Massachusetts General Court became the first state legislature to recognize July as a state celebration. It also established the first official 4th of July parade in the newly independent nation of America. In the early 1800s, 4th of July celebrations took on a more distinctly national character. The word Independence Day began to replace 4th of July in newspapers and broadsides advertising celebrations. Some writers have suggested that this reflects a growing desire among Americans to see themselves as part of a unified nation rather than a collection of separate states. Celebrations continued throughout the 1800s, although details varied from town to town. Many celebrations included speeches, dinners, and fireworks, while others featured athletic competitions, horse races, theatrical performances, and even political debates. For example, in 1852, the 4th of July Celebration Committee in Albany, New York, organized a series of events that included a grand procession, a patriotic dinner, an oration by Massachusetts Senator Charles Sumner, and a concert by the Albany City Band. The committee also planned for the streets to be decorated with flags and banners, and for the city's churches to toll their bells. During the Civil War, celebrations were scaled back as Americans grappled with the meaning of freedom and independence during a time of slavery and disunion. But after the war, they grew even more elaborate. In 1870, Congress made Independence Day an unpaid holiday for federal employees. In 1938, it was made a paid holiday. Today, most Americans observe Independence Day by taking the day off work or school and spending time with family and friends. Many Americans also attend parades or fireworks displays. According to the National Retail Federation, Americans will spend an estimated $1.2 billion on fireworks this year, with an average of $10.5 million being spent per person. Food is also a major part of 4th of July celebrations. According to USA Today, hot dogs are the most popular food for the holiday, with Americans eating an estimated 150 million hot dogs on July. Other popular foods include hamburgers, potato salad, watermelon, baked beans, chips, and pie. So those are just some of the ways Americans celebrate Independence Day. As you can see, the holiday has evolved over time, but it continues to be a time for Americans to come together and celebrate their country. Now, I'd like to share some interesting facts about Independence Day and the early celebrations. As I mentioned before, the 4th of July was not the actual date of independence. The Resolution of Independence was passed on July 2nd, but the Declaration of Independence was not adopted until 2 days later on July 4th. Most historians believe that the Declaration was signed on August 2, 1776. The first president to die on Independence Day was John Adams. He died in 1826, exactly 50 years to the day after the Declaration of Independence was adopted. The second president to die on the 4th of July was Thomas Jefferson, who died in 1826 as well. And the third president to die on the 4th of July was James Monroe. He died in 1831. All three presidents died on the same day, but John Adams and Thomas Jefferson died exactly 50 years apart. The only U.S. president to have been born on the 4th of July was Calvin Coolidge. He was born in 1872. The first July celebration was held in 1777 in Bristol, Rhode Island, and the first official July celebration was held in 1781 in Philadelphia. And that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.